good evening, Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, as well as the other streaming outlets. And tonight we have Brown Girl Boston. We got Drea here. It's been a long, long year. A long year. For those in the chat that don't know, Drea has been part of Let's Talk since the beginning. Drea was actually my third interview ever. Me and this young lady formed a brother sisterhood over the last year and a half, and I'm always amazed at her. She's an amazing person, amazing woman. Um, this year, I could say, has been very rewarding for her, challenging. Drea, she brings a energy to the show that is very very contagious. Drea is into. I'm not gonna say she's into numbers, but she understands numerology. A lot of times, many of us that may believe in organized religion doesn't understand that numerology plays a part in everything. Math is an obsolete. I mean, exact form, so to say, and you can't get around numbers. Good evening, Nicole. Nicole, you might not know my friend Drea only from the when we did the New Year's Eve show. Drea is gonna give us some insight on some things. Drea is going to tell us some things that 2021 will reveal. Me and Drea actually have the same number, the same birth number. So happy belated Earth Day! I had told you that. I had sent you the message.
Thank you.
So what's going on, Brown Girl Boston?
So hey Q, hey Let's Talk family. Thank you for having me on. In 2021, and we're still in Cap season. So salute to all the Capricorns out there. My birthday was last Wednesday. I am blessed to see 38 years old, even though black don't crack. So we're gonna get into the numbers, as Q said. We're gonna have a recap from 2020. I know a lot of people are clutching your pearls and get necktie. Then we'll flow from the end, and I'll probably do a quick reading because I know folks like to have their little readings done, and then we'll just go from there.
So let me ask you, Drea, when we had you on the show before to do the numerology, and it was actually I think a little over a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
Worldwide, we've seen the things that happened in politics. We also saw Kobe Bryant dying, whose number was 2, 4, and 8. And I'm quite sure you know some numbers with that, as well as COVID, which basically shook the whole world up at the time. You did mention some things that was going to happen. You mentioned that 2020 was going to be a revealing year. I think a lot of us, you and myself included, we dealt with loss of family members.
Mm-hmm.
And you said that a lot of things were going to be revealed. So recap the year. I know that you had something very, very big and something great that happened in your personal life.
Right.
You became a professor at your alma mater, Tuskegee University. So I know that was huge.
It was big. It was major, and it took from January last year, and I got on actually in August. So 2024, which was, of course, you take the zeros out, 2 plus 2 is 4. And 4 is one of my numbers. That's also one of Q's numbers because our birthdays are actually reversed. I'm January 13th and he's the 31st. So 4 is one of our numbers, and actually 5 is our number too, Q. Just FYI. So anytime you see like it was universal year 4, that's also dealing with your mental state. So we've seen a lot of pandemic of mental health. We've seen a lot of people unraveling because of the pandemic, of grieving, loss, and just being in the house, especially for those who like to go out, get it in. A lot of deaths, a lot of transition, a lot of transformations. So, for those who may had a good year last year, don't feel guilty because you had a good year. You probably was resonated on the high side of the 4. instead of the low side. The low side, when you resonate on the low vibration, you get sick, your immune system gets low. Um, you really fall into like the media. The media was so like heavy in 2020, and like people was like glued to it. And the only time I really watched the news, like when my dad came and visit me. He usually come like at least like 2-3 times out the year to visit me, and he likes to watch the news. Of course, he's in his 70s, so and I was like, nope, we're not doing that over here. And it was just a heavy year with the deaths, like you mentioned. I had a lot of deaths in my family, deaths that just came out of nowhere. But a lot of times people was joining the ancestral realm, if you believe that as well. And I know that's so painful to hear. But the deaths in my family was like older people, people who lived their full life, and I'm thankful for their life. I'm thankful I had time with them, especially those like my uncle and aunties and stuff like that. But 2020 was a heavy year, and it depends on what was you doing, and how did you handle it. And you didn't have to learn this new skill. I think people wanted to get in a bag and I got to learn this new skill. A lot of times it was just all about how are you surrendering and being quiet and going within to preserve yourself and to preserve your mental health, and also to self-reflect on your own growth and your own glow up. So it was all about self-preservation, but also you probably lost friends in a literal sense, in a figurative sense. You probably lost relationships. So those things had to be lost in order for you to come into this, new year. And also give things, if you are watching us, that you made it, and your family members that you truly love have made it too. And we're going to talk about, five and things of that nature.
One of the things that a friend of mine, close friend of mine, said to me is that we were discussing how, because of the pandemic, we saw the uprise in a lot of mental health issues. And I was telling him about my experience of learning and understanding how to handle being in solitude,
Mm-hmm.
being able to be with yourself. And he was explaining to me that every so often he would go to his mother's, I mean his excuse me, his sister's house or his brother's house, because he realized that he would be in the house maybe 2 or 3 weeks by himself. Now he said that he, and I agree with him, he could handle it, but
Mm-hmm.
we seen how a lot of people were not able to really be able to confront themselves. Like you said, a lot of things got clear. Like a lot of people wasn't used to being in the house, and it kind of like, quote unquote, for lack of better words, drove them crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Also, I wanted to ask you, and it's interesting. I just thought about it when you were talking. We hear a lot of people talk about the Great Reset, and a lot of times people think that the Great Reset is more of the financial reset in the world, thinking that the world leaders have no connection with the spiritual, as you say, the ancestral realm. The understanding that the spiritual realm and understanding the spiritual shifts and the paradigm shifts that go on. So we sometimes think that the powers that be don't understand changes that take place. So we automatically thought the Great Reset was a financial reset.
Right.
Um, in understanding what was going on last year and what the numbers were telling you, do you think that we are any step closer today with having clarity on what's going on?
I think a lot of times people, they're still lost on the clarity of what's going on as far as with abundance and prosperity. People think I'm just in the bag. So let's take the bag out of it, like money. Think about your health. Like that's the true bag that we were supposed to secure last year, is boosting your immune system. And I think we talked about like supplements and living, on a positive vibration. And I think a lot of times people are like, well, I'm gonna attain this new skill so I can get more money. Yes, the money is gonna come and go. Like I'm a big believer in that. I attract money all the time because of even my life path number being 8, and 8 is like a big money number. But it's all about securing that inner peace. Last year, hence why we all had to be on lockdown. Did you secure that? Did you secure, like who are you as a person? What do you want to do? Like what legacy are you creating and leaving behind? You keep seeing all these people say, oh, I made 6 figures, I made 7 figures, but they wasn't happy. Are they truly happy with that? Are they truly living a fulfilled life? So, I think a lot of times, we've seen that, and then some of us got in our feelings like, well, I didn't, secure the bag, but maybe you secured the bag in other ways, and you was actually being neighborly. You was actually being of service to other people, being of service to yourself, and even taking care of yourself. Like, we often neglect that. Like, was you really taking care of yourself and your family members, and being the example, and also breaking generational curses? I know that was a big thing for me in 2020. Like, I realized, and I kept seeing in synchronicity, like, I am the generational curse breaker in my family because of me being eccentric, me being totally different from my family, being in the land of my ancestors in Alabama here, and also too just different paths that was placed upon me, becoming a professor and going back to full circle moments. I had a lot of full circle moments, which is, abundance. A lot of people don't realize, like, okay, why am I having this full circle moment with just even reconnecting with people, or just like going back to my alma mater? Like, what message may I have missed as a student that I gained as a faculty member, so I can also be the example for my current students? So I think a lot of times we didn't get in depth with that, and I got more spiritually connected too. Understanding that, this I'm a spiritual being, but I'm in this, this amazing, beautiful suit. But also too, what does that mean, being spiritual and having an actual relationship with the high energy source, of the Almighty, or whoever that you call God? So you were supposed to have been on that quest, not getting the money quest, because it's not time for that.
One of the things I wanted to ask you, and I know this kind of, like you said, it brings your personal situation full circle with being a graduate of Tuskegee, and now you being a professor at Tuskegee. Um, Dealing with COVID, I know we had never really talked about the vaccines, and I know that we are people that love to take our vitamins. We're probably people that are believing boosting the immune system, more opposed to taking medications. I always try to tell people, because a lot of people that are pro medication, when they begin to get people like myself who question vaccinations, and I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I've taken vaccinations. I've taken numerous amount of TB shots. I've taken flu shots up until about 3 years ago. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
not anti-vaccine. I think I'm more pro-information. And I know that one of the books that you have read was Medical Apartheid. And being that you're right there at Tuskegee University, how is the vaccine and the COVID, just the conversations that's going on? I don't really want to know your personal beliefs unless if
Right.
you don't mind sharing it, but just what is the conversations that's going on?
So the conversation that's going on, since I'm in the social work department, and it's interesting, we in the bioethics building where a lot of the Tuskegee syphilis study had happened, right? So the conversation is going on. My colleagues who are in the biological, science department or chemistry department, we actually have a COVID lab on campus, which I think is so dope. So they're looking at it from a holistic standpoint of, okay, do we just have these vaccines? How are we dealing with it on a root basis, from a systemic basis, and also from a race, based basis as well? So that's what I love about my alma mater, because they're looking at it from a scope of a holistic standpoint. And that's one of the missions that Booker T. Washington also stood for. How are you affecting the heart, the mind, the body, and the soul? And I think so many times we get away from that and thinking, oh, if I just take this vaccination, I'm good in the hood. But a lot of times you're not, because there's so many different CDC recommendations that's saying, okay, if you get this vaccination, you still got to wear a mask, and you're going to come down with COVID symptoms as well. So, being on a campus that's being innovative when it comes to, hey, let's look at it from a root standpoint, and also not just fixing a quick fix, but also too, how is that going to affect us, being Black folks, or folks who have melanin, whether that's Hispanic folks, Asian folks, whatever the case is. So that's what I truly appreciate about, just with my colleagues being innovative and not just sticking to the script, like, okay, we got to get these vaccinations and pump y'all up out of here, because they're seeing our campus has also been affected with mental health and public health crisis. So they're also trying to look at the root issue. So we're working at it from an disciplinary team, and not just, okay, that's a biological issue. So, a lot of times I think we forget about that. Like, okay, take the vaccine, but what about the after effects? What about, the suicidal ideation, which we've been seeing on the rise in our young people, our young Black people, and just even going to different countries and studying what's their methods, how did their numbers get so low? And I think a lot of times, we got to look to HBCUs because we're doing innovative stuff. But of course, when you're coming from a Black institution, they're like, oh, what do they know? But I'm at the center of Tuskegee, syphilis study, in which, is still being affected even to 2021.
Yeah, some detractors always try to minimize it and say it wasn't that serious, and it's interesting. I never kind of like pull the whole card and be like, well, I know somebody that's right down there in ground zero, because some people just have an opinion on what they believe, and
Right.
we always want to be those type of people that respect other people's opinions, whether we agree with them or not. But I find it quite interesting that like you said, you guys, they're taking more of a holistic approach, is because what a lot of us don't understand about medication, and even the first doctor, who was Hippocrates, he really, if you look at it, wasn't a medical doctor as we would say. He
Hmm.
would be considered more of a herbalist.
Right.
And how the shift in the last 100 years, when you understand the American Medical Association, how it shifted away from traditional medication, which was herbs and, as we would say now, alternative medication. How now, if you don't quote unquote take a pill, people look at you different than saying, well, I'm gonna just drink some ginger and lemon juice. So to say,
Hmm.
just using that for an example for a particular ailment. Okay, now to what I call it, the fun stuff. 2021, interesting numbers here. Um,
Yes.
for a lot of us, the year basically has been a continuation for 2020 so far in these 18 days. I thought that we had just discussed a show early prior, and I thought it was very interesting how Dr. King has his legacy has been more prophesized this year, even this year more than last year, and they try to compare what we're going through now with his movement and the poor
Hmm.
people's movement, which I think is a disregard for history and understanding really what took place in the 60s and what took place this past year. I think the movements were totally different and their ideologies were totally different. Um, so what is your thoughts on 2020,
So
2021?
So 2021, all right. So we're in a universal year five number. So for those who was born on the 5th, the 14th, and the 23rd, this is gonna be a year like double time, right? But it's gonna be a year for either being ratchet with excessive, reckless behavior. If you are vibing low, if you vibing high, this is your year of freedom to really tap in into being adventurous. So it's going to be an interesting year. We're still dealing with the effects of 2020. A lot of us, I would say all of us on a collective, are dealing with PTSD because we're like, oh my God, especially what happened at the Capitol. We're tapping into the MLK Day vibration that's going to be leading to the inauguration, right? And then, just start thinking about, the inauguration coming up, with Biden. People have their own, thought process about the presidency that's coming in. But as like on a whole for number five, y'all, like this is the time to really start surrendering because you got to be free from something. So one of my favorite all time heroes, Cheryl's, is Fannie Lou Hamer. And she always says, in her quote, Like no one's free. One just because one person's free, just because you may be free, all of us still not free.
Mm.
So this is a time in which collectively we have to figure out how are we going to be free. So whether it's free your mind, free, your mind going to your heart space, freeing things that's in your heart. So open up your heart chakra, freeing yourself from, being authentically you, living your best self, because whatever you hold it on to. So I'm going to give, for example, a relationship, right? If you hold on to this relationship that's been holding you down, weighing you down for years, this year is going to be the year in which no more is going to be ending. So, if you're trying to hold on to Bay and Bay's toxic, you're gonna be getting free, and you're gonna be like, how did this happen? It's gonna happen out of nowhere. So don't come back and say, well, Drea didn't tell me. I'm letting you guys know now. Also too is, what's the ideas? Because who we thought we know, like who we're becoming someone else. Like we're shedding that old layer from 2020 and we're coming in new in 2021. So that person who you thought you was in 2020, you about to become somebody else, whether it's for the good or the bad. So I'm always suggesting people to make sure you have a positive energy every day. Whether it's like someone has said something to you out the way, yes, sit in those feelings, correct them if need be, but don't let that ruin your day, because who you becoming is going to depend on how you transition in your mindset. And all of us probably have felt the shift that happened this year. I mean, it's like a big shift. I know everybody was talking about the great conjunction on December 21st, but like for real, that actually was like a shift of the paradigm of like, okay, technology. I think people now are getting used to being on Zoom, celebrating stuff via Zoom or technology. And so you better enhance your technology skills and not being antiquated thinking. And when it comes to the 5, you need to write down your ideas and your intentions. So, whatever, I will always say, whatever your birth number is, let's say if it's like double digits, like reduce it down to 1 and write. So like my birthday, we're 4. So write down 4 intentions that you want for the year. Like, what's your true intentions you want for the year and make it happen. And you're going to have to be innovative. So whatever that she was doing last year cannot work into 5, because 5 is a freedom number. You have to be free. So like I said, free your mind, free your spirit, free yourself, which is very important.
Yeah, a lot of people joked on social media when they were talking about December 21st and its significance. The Mayans believed in it, and we know that basically it was a major eclipse as well that took place. And the energy, and as you say, the paradigm shift and what happened. Like I said, like I always try to tell people when me and you had these talks, Drea, and I always got to remind people that if you are someone that just believes or has just scratched the surface in organized religion, you may not understand the conversation that we're talking about. Me and Drea are firm believers that none of this stuff is new. All of this stuff is connected. Some of the stuff, organized religion actually gets into it. If you
Mm-hmm.
study the religion that you follow and you really get into certain things in the religion, you'll understand that numbers and looking at the universe and not practicing certain things, but understanding certain things, it all coincides together. So I always want to explain to people when Dre comes on, when she starts talking, I don't want to scare nobody. Somebody be like, I don't believe in that. So what happens sometimes is that we'll deny something that if you believe in organized religion,
Mm-hmm.
you'll say, I don't believe in that, and you'll be denying something that you actually believe in. You just may not be aware of the information yet.
Right.
Because
Exactly.
because one of the things that happened to us, we were stripped of our religion, spirituality, diet. So a lot of these things that we have to get back to, like even when it comes to eating, we're descend. Most of us are descendants from a region that's hot,
Mm-hmm.
and we weren't able. Our ancestors really, it was harsh on them to get. If you believe in the trans American slave thing, if it was hard for them, a lot of people didn't survive. So
Right.
I'm just saying this to say that when we do talk about alternative medication, when we do talk about these things, it's really connecting and having an understanding within your spirituality of having
Hmm.
a relationship with the creator.
Right.
So 2021, man, I tell you, I must say, Dre, that when you did your last show, when you did the numbers, and a lot of people were taken aback. I mean, I've had people, close friends of mine, like, yeah, she did a reading for me, and it was right on point. I mean, I think that, like you said, we see all the signs
Hmm.
to everything. And I have a question for you from another good friend of mine.
Okay. Oh, any thoughts of entering the age of Aquarius? So we are in the age of Aquarius, and we're going to be in this age for like centuries. So Aquarius, I feel like they always like the source of knowledge. Like my brothers are Aquarius, and I feel like they're leaders when they're tapped in. So you have to be tapped in into a different type of energy, and you have to like let them have their freedom. So you're gonna have all type of source of information. Now it's like digging through there to know what's the truth, and that's being intuitive, right? Giving God gave us intuitive energy, and it's tapping into that. And so what that requires is what you have to be tapped in within yourself, and you have to decide. I always say like decipher what's in between the lines, and take what you need, and don't. And this is another thing I want to say too, being in 2021, I don't care where the message come from or how the message is delivered. The message is there for us for a reason. So when you start getting these, I call them downloads. So when you start getting these downloads from God or whoever you serve, get your notebook out and just start writing it. If you see it on social media, if you're having a conversation with friends, and you seeing the synchronicity of like the messaging, that message is for you. So that's like Age of Aquarius. It may seem eccentric, it may seem odd, and you're like, why am I getting these messages? That message is for you. That message is specifically for you. So, that's what we're going to see for the Age of Aquarius. So it's all about tapping in. And, people may be like, oh, that person's weird. Yeah, as long as you're getting them downloads and you are riding a wave, and you're deciphering the messages for yourself that's going to benefit your life and your family's life, I'm all for it. So you're going to see all type of weirdness happening.
My friend Eric asked, "Is our show every week?" No, Eric, unfortunately, our show isn't every week. Drea has a YouTube channel as well. It's called Brown Girl from Boston.
Hmm.
Drea is a professor at Tuskegee University, which is her alma mater. She You explain everything you do, man. You got the career project.
So,
She's doing a lot. She does a lot in her
yeah.
local community. She actually during this COVID season, she started her own garden, which we didn't discuss. I mean, she's doing a lot. Her partner with the career list projects, I try to promote them, and I try to share this information in the group. She's doing a lot. So, Drea, explain, because I don't want to miss out, and I know that you really don't like to talk about yourself as that much. But could you just explain everything you're doing,
Okay.
please?
All right. So I'll break it down. So for those that know or do not know, yes, I'm an assistant professor at my mom. I'm an alma mater. I am a clinical social worker professionally, but I'm in academia. I also have my own life coaching business, Brown Girl for Boston, and also my blog. And then I have a group coaching business with my friend Shamika Moore, the Careers Project, in which we help people, especially mainly Black women, to really get clear on like their life and career goals. So it's a lot that I do. I have a garden. I'm a homeowner. I live in Alabama, as you guys know, but I'm from Boston, Massachusetts. So, and I do numerology, like I'm certified in it, took classes. So this is like what I truly do. Like like it's all about like the spirituality piece for me. Cause like I said, I really tapped in as well. And I'm a mental health advocate and all that jazz. So yeah. And I write too, and I do international social work and all those cool things.
And like I always try to say this because I think it's remarkable, and I think it's interesting that we're in the age of social media.
Mhm.
Um, me and Drea about 18 months ago. Me and Drea met each other on Twitter. For everybody in the chat, um, actually, she was giving somebody the business on Twitter, and I was like, "Whoa, she going in." So I sat back and I watched, and I said, "This ain't who this person is. Like, why she go off on this person?" And we have a select group of people that we all intermingle with on Twitter. So I reached out to Drea in reference to reparations, and
Mhm.
me and Drea had a conversation interview over the phone for about an hour, and we tapped into her energy, and then I told her about what I was thinking about with the Facebook group, and she was very supportive. She's very, very supportive of myself and Let's Talk. Anytime I need her to come on the show, if she's not doing nothing, she's always there for me. I mean, one thing that we got to understand is that the universe, as we would say, doesn't lie. Everything works in accordance with each other.
Right.
And sometimes we ask for certain things if we believe in the creator. We ask for certain things, and then when they come, we have to be willing to accept them. When you ask for help, you may get the help and assistance from somebody you least expect or don't even know yet. So
Mhm.
don't think that the help is going to come from such and such, because a lot of times we want help and support from particular people, and that's
Right.
just not how it works. So that's
Exactly.
just a brief background of me and Drea's relationship. And trust me, we're just scratching the surface.
Okay.
And you know, she, like I told you guys, and I mean it. I've been very fortunate lately that I've been, not saying that the people I grew up with aren't remarkable people. I grew up with some remarkable people. And my mission statement for Let's Talk is um, ordinary people doing extraordinary things. So I'm
Mhm.
quite sure that a lot of people that I grew up with and conversated with that helped me are extraordinary people. But
Right.
I've been very, very fortunate that I've been meeting some super dope people, and Drea is one of those people as well.
Yes.
So, 2021. Whew, how's it looking?
So it's gonna be rocky. It's gonna be rocky, but dot dot dot. You have to embrace change. Like we're gonna see all type of change,
That's a question for you.
coming in. Do you have resistance in social work and spiritual intuitive? Well, actually, no, because social work and spirituality is actually becoming more integrated, which is interesting. When I was in school 15, 16 years ago, I know black don't crack. That was a taboo thing, but now they're starting to see a shift, especially with black social workers are intertwining spirituality. So it's becoming a new thing. Like I said, it's starting at HBCUs. I have some students who are doing dope stuff with intertwining their spirituality with social work. I have the freedom to do both. At my job, being a professor and integrate all of them, but as long as I'm respecting everyone's spirituality and their religion. And that's the key thing with social work, because we have our code of conduct. Like, long as we're not, in violation of the code of conduct, because both of them go hand in hand. You got to respect someone's spirituality, especially if you are going to, I'm in the helping and healing profession. You have to like intertwine their spirituality. And I think a lot of times, especially if you are a non-black social worker, they don't get it. They don't know what time it is.
So you saying 2021 looks like it's going to be a continuation of what we just left a little bit. We tapping into an energy from Dr. King's energy, which is Friday,
Right.
to this weekend, all the way up into this inauguration, which is interesting. And I don't know what I know that the last president up until Wednesday, I know he was the extreme Gemini,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that a lot of people didn't understand that he had the alpha, the Gemini alpha energy.
Exactly. And mixed in with the narcissist. So if you all start thinking about last year, right? Narcissism has been talked about on a high. Going back to what I was saying, if you're not learning the skill, you're not in your bag, narcissism, which affects what? For mental. So, we can't be on that tip in a 5 universal year. We have to be open to embracing for change. You cannot be resistant. You cannot be in your narcissist bag, because guess what? You got revealed last year. So, if you really want to be in a bag of shifting your own energy, you have to like really be vulnerable this year and hold on to your seats. It's going to be rocky, but like I said, how are you going to handle that going forward? How are you going to handle when you have to surrender and make some big decisions and put on your big girl panties or your big boy boxes and handle it and let people go and let things go? Because so many times we hold on to things that's been hindering us from really growing. So this is the grow up, glow up, and elevation season, and you are going to shed some skin, and you are going to probably do the ugly cry if you are being resistant.
And President Biden is 1120.
He's so you see that energy he's gonna bring in though. See, he's a Scorpio. For those who are Scorpios, they are you're gonna see a lot of mysticism going on during this inauguration. They got Lady Gaga. If you know anything about that, she's like into spirit cooking. So you're gonna see a lot of like magic and mysticism coming in for the inauguration, and then they're gonna ride the wave of like, okay, Dr. King's message, and even let's go back to Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali is a Capricorn sun and a Leo rising. I'm a Capricorn sun and Leo rising too. So when we talk about being cocky and we flaunting what we got, like that's Muhammad Ali. So you're gonna see a lot of that energy being flowed into inauguration.
I thought that was interesting that because I just googled Joe Biden's birthday and I didn't know that he was 1120. Whew. Whew. And
Right,
I
exactly.
didn't know that Lady Gaga was going to do his inauguration. That's interesting. That's tapping into something totally different than I expected. That's going way left. But anyway,
that's another episode.
but speaking of going forward, what does that 1-3 speak about? That's
The
that
one,
4. Me and you have the same number.
yes.
And I always ask you, and you never told me. Folks in the chat, I never told Drea my birthday, yo. I don't know how she found out my birthday. I really don't.
I don't know.
I never tell people my birthday. And she knew my birthday just out of nowhere. She was like, "We got the same number." I'm like, "Huh?"
I don't know. I don't even recall. I don't know. I don't think I even investigated. You probably don't even have it on social media.
Hey, Eric, you got to give her more information. He asked, "What is Aries? What are
So
Aries?"
is he an Aries? What's his birthday?
She needs to know exactly your birthday. And listen, I'm gonna tell you guys this right here, what she's doing. Most people have to pay. She does charge, but I'm just gonna say, don't have her scare y'all with this stuff because this is nothing spooky. This is not spooky. This is not something that we should. We may not understand it, but this is not something we should be like, oh man, bad things is gonna happen or not like that. No, this ties into what most of us believe
Right.
is.
Exactly.
Oh, Eric, you gotta give it a year, man.
You don't gotta give me the year.
Oh, his it's April 5th.
Oh, that's your year, Eric. You better go. No, for real. Like, so you are fire. He's the opposite. So Aries and Capricorn are totally opposite, and we usually butt heads. But you are 5, so which means like this is your year. So Eric, for you, whatever fears that you may be facing, you need to get out your bag of fears and just face your fears and slay them and surrender what you have to surrender. This is the year for you to level up. So whether it's your health, whether it's some apologies you need to make, whether it's you need to really grow up in some areas or like glow up, not gloating, but be confident in what you're doing. you definitely need to tap into that. Do not be excessive and reckless behavior, because you are a 5, and this is going to come back in full effect. The karma is. So just make sure that you are vibing high and that you give thanks in everything that you do. Let me see. Numerology is the truth. Oh, 3 woman. Okay, sis. So this is the author. All right. Yeah. So I see why she write books, because she has to express herself. She's a 3 person. So so Julia, you always have to express yourself, whether it's through writing, orally. Sometimes you have to travel too. So, since you're a 3 person, travel and get the inspiration, or like get into nature to get inspired. I don't know what sign you are. If you are an earthy person, you definitely need to connect with nature when you are getting that block. But don't try to figure out ways on how to unblock your creativity, because you need to express yourself. You're welcome, Eric.
I told you the last time we did this, right? Folks in the chat, I was working nights. Right? And me and Drea hooked up. We did a class, like we did a show. I ain't gonna say a class. We did a show like 11 o'clock in the afternoon. So I used to have to be to work at 3, and we were sitting here till like 2:30 doing this. I'm like, yo, I gotta go to work. So it's interesting. I'm about to put somebody else up, and Nicole, don't be running after this, Nicole, because once she see your number, she probably gonna really bug out.
Oh, Nicole, you're a spiritual person, so you always gotta vibrate high. Whoever you serve, God, Allah, Buddha, whoever's your higher source, you're gonna get plenty of downloads. So you need to have a journal to write. You always need to don't be so self-righteous. If you're a self-righteous person, make sure that you always leave people in good spirits, love and light. But also too, you 9 people, my mom is a 9, y'all could be very fiery, like y'all could be in y'all back. And you a Sagittarius, oh yeah, you a fire sign. So you give people the heat, but like I said, leave them in peace, because you have to make sure that you vibrate high. And I'm pretty sure you are a humanitarian. You probably have a kind heart, and you probably been taken advantage of. So make sure that you don't keep those walls up. Whoever is supposed to come into your life is supposed to come into your life to help you, and accept the help, but also to make sure that you using your discernment. Yeah, that's very important.
She has a heart of gold. Honestly, she's very good people. Okay, Eric said thank you.
You're welcome, Eric.
Julia.
Yes, honey. Go to the. Oh, okay. Yeah, girl, you a water sign. Yes, you need to be around water. And when you do go to the Bahamas, make sure that you are walking the beach and you giving thanks for being in the Bahamas. Just if you gotta get a good cry, because for some reason I feel like you need to cry. I don't know why. I feel like you need to cry. Like go on the beach, walk it, and just cry, let it out, and just surrender. So remember to surrender and be free in the Bahamas.
Here's my buddy.
that number was like, 7. Okay, so you a Cancer, spiritual person, sensitive, can be in your feelings, but you love love. Like you love love, and I feel like you need to maybe somebody in your life, you maybe need to shoot your shot and give love a try again. But you definitely have like a sensitive nature to you, and don't let anyone take advantage of that. That's one of your best attributes, and you're kind, and you're one of those ride or die friends too.
Don't be scaring my guy. You talking about love. My guy be calling me talking about, I listen to Drea, man. Listen to Drea. I'm about to do it, Kim.
So you got the spiritual numbers too. So I don't know if you're part of like a religious organization.
Yeah, he is. He's very spiritual brother.
Okay, I can tell with the numbers, because the numbers like hit me like okay.
See, Dwayne, which is a lot of people know Dwayne co-hosts some shows with me, as well as me and Dwayne have been friends since the 6th grade.
Oh.
And we springboard off of each other a lot. So even if it's not, most people see us talk about sports, but it's really bigger than that. I'll say a lot of ideas that I may have to Dwayne, and he'll say, Go for it. And he spoke real highly of you earlier, Drea, during our other show. He said that you need to be you need. He said less talk needs more Drea.
Well, thank you.
So yeah, so now everybody is seeing. Nicole said yes. Julia said thank you.
You're welcome.
Nicole came back said thank you. I also feel like
Yes, you are an empath. So, Nicole, be careful of narcissistic people. If you ever dated narcissistic men or you have narcissistic folks around you, be very careful. Make sure that you are intuitive with, the red flags because I'm an empath too, and honey, they will drain your energy. So, whatever you need to like replenish your energy, get into that. So, if you gotta do spiritual baths, which is the Epsom salt, and do rose petals and lavender, and that's for like even my water signs because I know you guys can be very depleted of energy. Make sure that you like protect your energy and find some type of ritual to really get into so you can have ward off the energy vampires.
and Dwayne sent these faces, these emojis. Because Dwayne know that you nailed him to the face. You know that what you said was right and exact. So he's probably sitting here watching the broadcast with tears in his eyes because he laughing so hard because you done called him on his stuff.
I know.
And Jules said always.
Yes.
So what would be your advice on how we should approach 2021? Should we take those chances, or should we just try to maintain the same solitude and the same way we've been going about in 2020?
So I would definitely say take calculated risk. So like I said before, wherever you being called to, wherever your higher source is calling you to do because the vision was placed onto you, make sure that you are in alignment with it. Your higher sources don't care if you're ready or not. Take the leap of faith because life, as we have known 2020, life is very short. So it's no time to die with the ideas within you. It's
Mm.
time to really just
Say
really,
that again, Drea.
there's no time to die with the ideas. We don't have time to be dying with our ideas. Everyone is valuable that's watching this broadcast, and everyone has some type of ideas. I don't care if you have to write them out. Write out your ideas, and as much you may think, oh, this, and don't ever think they're dumb. You have them downloaded in your spiritual self for a reason. So make sure that you write them down on a piece of paper, right? And face your fears. I know it's going to be fearful, and also to the right people. When you ask for, hey, I need help with with executing my ideas, the right people are going to come. And don't be so rigid in your thinking. I had took some notes down too. Don't be rigid with your thinking. This is the time to be very adaptable, and this is the time to be very flexible in what you're going to do. So I know someone has said something about shooting your shot. If you want to shoot your shot at bay, shoot your shot. If you want to go travel, this is the time to travel. I took a solo trip in December after the Great Conjunction. I went on a solo trip to Mexico because I had my whole life collapsed in November, personally. So that was my spiritual awakening saying, hey, I'm going to take this international trip. Yes, I wore my mask everywhere. I did so many dope things I didn't think I would do. I did like ATV riding, zip lining, all these, some of my friends said, oh, I did white people stuff. No, that's just living my life stuff. I was living my best life. Stayed on a dope resort. Seeing like beautiful like scenery, got to tap into like my Spanish speaking skills. And I went to one of the 7 wonders of the world. I went to Chichen Itza and like really got to learn about Mayan culture, and just seeing, Mayan ruins and, just being with people and giving honor to their land. So, if you have to do like what they call it, eat, pray, love, this is the year to do that because I'm telling you, this is the time to have fun too. Like we had such a tumultuous year. This is the time to have fun, but be careful when you have fun. Don't go out here being irresponsible.
So let me ask you, Drea, because I did see that on IG, and we did keep in contact.
Mm-hmm.
What being that you went to Mexico after December 21st. December 21st, for those in the chat, we know that it was a major solar eclipse.
Mm-hmm.
However, in uh, the Mayan culture, it was a spiritual shift. So, how was it going there right after that? What type of vibe were the people on?
The vibe was so chill. Like, what I like about going there, the people were so chill. Like, even like the COVID restrictions wasn't like daunting because they had things in place. I stayed at I did, like I said, I went by myself, a black woman traveling internationally by herself. Like I went on the beach every morning, got massages, I prayed, I journaled, so I had like my own eat, pray, love moment, and people were so chilling, so loving, but I felt like a paradigm shift too, which was funny because it was like so many weeks before my birthday. And, so it was a vibe for me to go. Even, just working through with my therapist, she's like, yeah, you should definitely go. So, the people was like on some like, hey, chill vibes, like the weather was beautiful. And just when I went to one of the seven wonders of the world, the pyramid, even that was such a spiritual awakening moment for me. And I felt so like peaceful. And I felt like, yo, I can conquer whatever I can when I go back to the States. Like I didn't even want to come home. And then also too, I also shed another layer of what people was thinking about me, like why she's taking this solo trip, or even my parents was freaked out, like you're going where? Oh my God! But that's when you have to surrender, and you have to really unconditionally love yourself and know that the Almighty, whoever you serve, got you. And like when I had did zip lining and dived into the water of a cenotes, which is a sinkhole. I'm not really a good swimmer, but I was like, yo, it's faith over fear at this point in time. So stop thinking about that.
Well, wow. Dwayne, you got a message from Eric.
Oh.
So, we're gonna handle 2021 like 2020. We're gonna stay doing the things we do, taking that leap, keeping those ideas, and trying to live out those ideas and doing it cautiously, not just doing it recklessly.
Exactly. Exactly. And another thing I wanted to share too was this is the time to not have people get on your nerves, and this is the time to get your rest. So for those who have sleep issues, I would suggest doing a sleep study, or take melatonin, look into doing like hot baths or cold showers before going to bed, and really spraying your room down with lavender. So really tap into like some like lavender or whatever essential oils that's going to calm you down. So this is not the time for folks to get on your nerves, because like I said, you don't want to be reckless and be, going to jail because someone got on your nerves. This is the time to really get your rest, because 5 is also a number you're going to be active. So I suggest everyone get into a workout routine. So whether it's moving your body through yoga, whether it's jump roping, whatever the case is, this is the time to really move your body and really be free with who you are supposed to be. Like stop wearing the mask too, because that mask is gonna fall off in anyways. So be who you are supposed to be, not what someone barks you in. And if you're gonna piss a lot of people off when you be authentic. That's my motto. Like you're gonna piss a lot of people off because they're gonna be like, oh, like what happened to such and such? They was like so chill, they didn't have any boundaries. This is the year you need to also set boundaries, and you're gonna piss people off because you have to. It's self-preservation, because you have to start putting your plans into motion and be really intentional about your life.
Let everybody know in the chat how to get in touch with you to do a more an advanced reading, and there is a fee.
Yes, it's a fee. So you can get in contact with me at Drea, Drea, at browngirlfromboston.com. That's Drea, Drea, at browngirlfromboston.com. And if I do a reading, it's $44 because I resonate on the 44. And I give you like a whole comprehension. Like I'll break it all the way down to even what personal year you're in, what to expect for your personal year. Like this is my personal year 1. So I completed my 9-year cycle. So I'm in personal year 1. So there's new beginnings for me. And I'm in my personal month 2, which is January. So which means I've been doing a lot of chilling. I've been on vacation since Thanksgiving from break. So I'm actually starting back classes February 1st. So I have been really chilling and restoring myself because I know like I'm going to be on the grind, this year.
Yeah, every week Drea does a video, or she might do two videos. I actually take the videos and puts them in the chat. I know sometimes she forgets to put them directly into the Let's Talk group
I do.
because it's hard trying to do videos. Then you putting them in three or four social media things. Like you might put it on Instagram, might put it on her page, she might put it on YouTube. So it may be hard to. She may forget because it's hard to remember all the pages that she's affiliated with. So I try to
Mhm.
put the videos in, and she always speaks about having some type of clarity on where you're going and what you need to do for yourself. With that, I'm gonna thank everybody in the chat for joining us tonight, and I thank Drea for being able to spend some time with us. Uh, Excellent, and I'm quite sure we will be having another show soon. Um, we might do something for that holiday that everybody called Valentine's Day.
Oh yeah, that's a topic.
Drea come and check in, and we'll discuss that holiday or the day that people like to talk about love.
Oh, and since you mentioned Mad Q, real quick, so also too, if since we're in the universal year five number, so for those who are born on the 5th, the 14th, and the 23rd, and if you a Gemini or a Virgo, you're gonna have new bays check, shooting their shot. So if you are single, and sometimes if you're not single, folks are gonna shoot their shot. Just FYI. Okay.
Thank you guys in the chat. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and share. The only way to trigger the algorithm is to like, subscribe, and share so we can get the message out. So we can just have shows like this, which are not only informative, but they're entertaining and it's basically better than cable news because we give it to you raw and uncut. With that, have a good night. Stay safe.
Good night.